Hello, today we're working on composition of functions. So let's take a look here at what we've got. We've got f of x is equal to x squared. We've got another function here, g of x, which is equal to x plus 3. Both of these are ways we can represent functions. F is a function, g is a function. Now, we can have something that looks a little bit like this. G, and then a little circle. It's kind of suspended in the air. F of x. Whoa, what is this? Don't panic. All this is a way of writing this, g of f of x, okay? Still looks a little bit weird, but all you have to know is that this is the input that you've got for function g, and then, let me put the arrow the other way. This is the input for the function f. Okay, because this almost looks like, let me put it in a different color here. This almost looks like it is g of x, but instead of x, you've got this thing. So really what this is it is a way of saying, okay, I've got this stuff over here, and I'm going to map it through a function. Whoop, that did not go in the right spot down there. I'm mapping this to another set here. This is what f does. And then whatever I get here, I'm using g to make it into here. And this is my final product. This is my happy spot because that's what I want there at the end. All right, so let's see how this plays out in terms of this particular setup here. F of x equals x squared, and g of x equals x plus 3. So if I have g of f of x, we said this is the same thing as g f of x, and the best way to go about this is to, side note here, work from the inside out. Okay, start in the innermost here, which in this case is, we can even go more innermost. That's what that is. So if I put in something here x, it's actually x squared. Yeah? Because if I put in, if f of x is equal to x squared, then really I can substitute that in there, and now what this really is g of x squared. And to solve for g of x squared, I'm going to look back over here at my g of x. Anywhere that I see this x, I'm going to plug in my input for that, and this is my input. So I'm going to plug in x squared. So this turns out pretty nice. It actually ends up being x squared plus 3. So that's it. So g of f of x is just equal to x squared plus 3 in this case. And if I wanted to do it numerically, I could, so let's say I wanted to plug in an actual value here. So g of f of, let's say, 4 is equal to, well, this is g of f of x. F of x right there, we said is x squared, which in this case, since x is 4, this is 4 squared, which equals 16. So really this becomes g of 16. And this, we could then substitute this is just x plus 3, which would be 16 plus 3, which equals 19. And if we compared it to what we got right back here, when we simplified, we can cut the middleman. It's just x g of f of x is going to, of 4 is going to equal 4 squared plus 3. 4 squared is 16 plus 3 equals 19. We have a match. Okay, so let's do one more example here. This time we don't have to use f and g all the time either. What's important though is that you know the order. So let's say I've got h of x and I've got g of x, and h of x equals x minus 1, and g of x equals 2x. And let's say I want to find let's say I want to find that h of g of x. And what would I simplify that to? Well, which one do we do first? G of x or h of x? Remember that this is the same thing as h of g of x. And that this right here, g of x, is the same thing as 2x. So I would look at this h of x, and that this really is going to go in right there, because this x stands for my input. And after I did after I did that function to my original x over here, and these are different there, because don't think of them as being the same thing. They're just your input placeholders, basically. So this becomes 2x minus 1, because this was my x. That was my input. So I'm plugging that in there. It's a little bit weird, I think, when you start, but once you've done some, it becomes a lot more natural. Don't get locked in to the fact that they are the same x. Just think of it as an input. It's a place where you plug stuff in. Here's some to practice on. Let's say that you've got, let's say f of x is equal to 3x, and h of x is equal to let's just do x squared. Okay. Simplify this guy here, and then see what you can do with that, where you start with 5 as your initial input. Alright, work that over, bring in the questions you've got. Stay awesome. Have a great day.